What if I told you that the most powerful man in the world once sat alone in his tent, writing not to impress anyone, but to survive his own mind? He was emperor of Rome, commanding legions, ruling over millions. Yet behind closed doors, he battled anxiety, frustration, grief, and the weight of leadership. He wasn't writing for us. He was writing to himself. And yet, nearly 2,000 years later, his words remain a lifeline for those of us seeking clarity, calm, and courage in a chaotic world. His name was Marcus Aurelius, and in this video, we're diving into his 10 greatest lessons from Meditations, a journal that became a timeless guide to the good life. Marcus Aurelius was not just a ruler. He was a warrior, philosopher, father, and seeker of truth. He governed Rome at the height of its power, yet lived a life of deep reflection and restraint. At night, after settling disputes, commanding armies, and facing political betrayal, he would retreat and write. Not speeches, not declarations, but reminders to himself to stay calm, to resist anger, to be just, humble, and grateful. These writings were later compiled into a book we now call Meditations, but he never intended them to be published. These were notes to self, his struggle to live with integrity in a world of chaos. And the beauty? These lessons still speak to us, because the challenges he faced, distraction, anger, fear, loss, are timeless. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most powerful lesson of all. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is the foundation of Stoicism, and Marcus repeats this idea throughout Meditations. Why? Because everything we suffer begins when we try to control what we can't. He knew war. He knew betrayal. He lost children. He saw plagues sweep across Rome. And yet he returned to this idea like a mantra. You don't control the chaos. You only control how you respond to it. Picture Marcus riding with his army in the freezing forests of Germania. The empire was strained. Enemies pressed at the borders. He couldn't control the weather. He couldn't control the actions of generals plotting behind his back. He couldn't control who lived or died, but he could control his thoughts, his decisions, his attitude. And he reminded himself of that daily. In today's world, this is more important than ever. You can't control traffic or politics or the algorithm, but you can control your habits, your reactions, your values. The Stoics taught us that peace doesn't come from fixing the world. It comes from mastering our inner world. Next time something frustrates you, ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If it's yes, take action. Strength isn't found in control. It's found in letting go of what you were never meant to carry. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Stoicism isn't just about resilience, it's about alignment. Marcus constantly reminded himself to live according to nature. But what does that really mean? To a Stoic, nature isn't just trees and rivers. It's the nature of the universe, the nature of humankind, the nature of your own role in life. To live in alignment with that is to live with virtue. So instead of fighting what is, embrace what you're meant to be, a rational, social, just being. In the Roman court, Marcus was surrounded by corruption, greed, and flattery. But he didn't indulge. He didn't retaliate. Why? Because he believed his role was to govern justly, not react emotionally. He once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, today you will meet people who are rude, arrogant, jealous. But none of them can harm you because you were made to rise above it." That's living according to nature, rising above what's beneath your calling. Ask yourself, am I living in line with my values or my impulses? Modern life rewards distraction, comparison, outrage. But Stoicism reminds us, those things pull us away from who we're meant to be. Nature has already equipped you to be calm, strong, fair, and wise. You don't need permission to start. You just need to return to your nature daily. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. No lesson in Stoicism is more sobering or more motivating than this one. Memento mori doesn't mean be morbid. It means don't waste your life. It's not about fearing death. It's about fearing regret. Marcus didn't avoid the thought of death. He confronted it, daily. Because he knew that the clock is always ticking, and tomorrow is never promised. Live with urgency. Live with intention. Don't let pettiness steal your time. We act like we'll live forever. We scroll. We wait. We procrastinate. But if you remembered you could die at any moment, what would you stop doing? What would you start doing? Marcus reminds us that the fragility of life is what makes it beautiful. When you keep death in mind, life becomes sharper, more precious, less petty. Try this. Write memento mori on your mirror, not to scare you, but to focus you. Because one day, your life will flash before your eyes. Make sure it's worth watching. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This single idea may be the most practical and transformational lesson from Marcus Aurelius. It's the mindset shift that turns frustration into fuel. Most people see obstacles and stop. The Stoic sees obstacles and begins. Because to the Stoic, resistance isn't a roadblock. It's a compass. In the middle of a brutal war with Germanic tribes, Marcus faced not only external enemies but internal resistance. His own generals betrayed him. Rome's Senate questioned him. Disease ravaged the empire. But rather than despair, he asked, "What can I control here? What good can come of this?" That's when he wrote one of his most powerful ideas. The obstacle becomes the way. He turned battle into wisdom, suffering into service, hardship into legacy. What's stopping you right now? Fear? Failure? Criticism? That's the path. Think about it. The things you avoid, difficult conversations, public speaking, discipline, those are the exact doors you must walk through to grow. The Stoics don't deny obstacles. They embrace them. They expect them. So the next time you feel blocked, remember Marcus. He faced rebellion, grief, and death and still said, "This too can serve me." Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "How can I use this?" It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people but care more about their opinion than our own. Imagine building your whole life around impressing people who don't even care. We scroll, compare, filter, edit. We seek validation. And yet Marcus, an emperor, warned against it. Why? Because nothing is more fragile than identity built on opinion. As emperor, Marcus was constantly scrutinized, every decision judged, every flaw magnified. He could have easily played the politician, acting based on what would gain him favor or applause. But he chose the harder path, the Stoic path. He wrote, "If you're disturbed by something external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it. And often, that estimate is just someone else's opinion, echoing in your head." We live in an attention economy. Clout is currency. But Marcus reminds us, the crowd is fickle. True freedom is not caring about what people think of you, because you're too busy doing what's right. Here's a practice. Ask yourself, if no one could see what I'm doing, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, you're living with integrity. If the answer is no, you're living for applause, and that applause fades. Marcus didn't write meditations for an audience. He wrote it for his soul. Do the same with your life. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he rarely judged others harshly. Instead, he turned the lens inward. In a world obsessed with blame and finger-pointing, this lesson feels revolutionary. The Stoic path isn't about condemning others. It's about disciplining yourself. Judgment begins with you, not with them. Imagine being emperor and constantly surrounded by incompetence, corruption, and greed. Marcus could have lashed out. He could have ruled with cruelty or arrogance. Instead, he wrote, "When someone does wrong, it is because they do not know what is right. Teach them, don't condemn them." He recognized his own flaws first. He held himself to a higher standard, not because others were watching, but because he was. In your daily life, how often do you judge others for being lazy, rude, or wrong? And now ask, how often do you apply that same scrutiny to your own thoughts and actions? Stoicism teaches us, let go of the need to control or criticize others. Focus on being better yourself. Marcus practiced a quiet kind of excellence. He didn't post about it, he lived it. So when someone tests your patience, pause and remind yourself, be tolerant with others, strict with yourself. That's how inner peace is built, through humility, not judgment. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The Stoics believed we are all given a role to play, and that role, however big or small, should be performed with excellence. Complaining, resisting, or wishing it were different. That's wasted energy. Marcus taught, you don't need to love your duty. but you do need to do it. Well, Marcus didn't ask to be emperor. In fact, he preferred the quiet life of a philosopher. But when Rome called, he answered.
Despite illness, betrayal, and crushing responsibility, he never stepped away from duty. He wrote in Meditations, "Don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Stick with the situation at hand. Do it with honor." He didn't complain. He acted.
Whether it's your job, your relationships, or your goals, how often do you approach them with resentment or procrastination? Stoicism teaches, shift your mindset. Don't ask, do I feel like doing this? Ask, is this the right thing to do? Then do it, without fanfare, without whining. Marcus knew that meaning isn't found in the perfect job or ideal circumstances. It's found in showing up and doing what's needed, with grace. So next time you're tempted to delay or complain, remind yourself, this is your duty. Perform it. That is enough. Don't hanker after what you don't have. Instead, fix your attentions on the finest and best that you do have, and imagine how much you would long for these if they weren't in your possession. Gratitude isn't about forced positivity. It's about clear perception. Marcus Aurelius didn't sugarcoat life. He just chose to see what was already good. Even while facing plagues, loss, and political betrayal, he reminded himself to be thankful. Why? Because gratitude grounds us in the present. In his reign, Marcus lost multiple children. He lost close friends. He watched his empire shake from within and without. Yet he still wrote lines like, "Do not despise what is given to you." He chose not to dwell on what was taken, but to give thanks for what remained. The breath in his lungs, the warmth of the sun, the strength to endure. Today, we scroll through other people's lives and forget to appreciate our own. We compare instead of notice. We chase what's missing instead of loving what's here. Marcus reminds us, you already have enough to be content. You just have to see it. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Not abstract things. Real, concrete blessings. Clean water, a healthy body, a moment of quiet. Gratitude isn't weakness. It's a weapon, a shield against anxiety, envy, and restlessness. Use it daily. All is ephemeral, fame and the famous as well. One of Marcus's most recurring reflections is this: nothing lasts. Not pain, not pleasure, not reputation, not even empires. And that truth? It's freeing. Because once you realize everything fades, you stop clinging and start living. Marcus walked through the imperial palace, walls covered in marble, halls echoing with the footsteps of emperors past. But he knew, all of them were gone. Julius Caesar, Augustus, Hadrian, dust. And someday, he would be too. So he wrote, "Consider the lives once lived by others, long dead and forgotten. Think how quickly all is forgotten. How meaningless is praise." He didn't say this in despair, but in clarity. We worry about likes, legacy, and being remembered. But Marcus reminds us, that's not the point. You don't live to be eternal, you live to be present. The beauty of impermanence is that it calls you to attention. This moment won't come again. So be kind, be bold, be alive. As the Stoics say, time is like a river, it sweeps all things along. You can't hold the water, but you can learn to swim. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is perhaps Marcus Aurelius's most quoted line, and for good reason. It's the core of Stoicism. The art of distinguishing between what's up to you and what isn't. Stress often comes from trying to control the uncontrollable, but peace comes from focusing your energy inward, on your thoughts, your actions, your responses. As emperor, Marcus faced constant chaos, war, plague, betrayal, natural disaster. And yet, through all of it, he wrote calmly in his journal. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Instead, welcome what happens as what you were meant to face. He knew he couldn't control outcomes, but he could control his character, his principles, his choices. And in that, he found unshakable power. You can't control traffic, or your boss, or whether others like you, but you can control your effort, your integrity, your reactions. That's where freedom lives, not in controlling the world, but in controlling yourself. The next time something frustrates you, pause and ask, is this within my control? If it is, act. If it isn't, let it go. That one habit alone can change your life. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest legacy wasn't his laws or battles. It was a notebook, written quietly for himself. Meditations is the diary of a man who faced unimaginable pressure, pain, and power, and yet chose wisdom over ego, duty over comfort, and truth over opinion. These 10 lessons aren't just ancient philosophy. They're timeless tools. If this video helped you think deeper or feel stronger, hit like and subscribe for more ancient wisdom made modern. Leave a comment. Which of these 10 lessons hit you the hardest and why? I read everyone. Stay strong, stay still, stay stoic.